The last South African to win the Roof of Africa got a factory deal with Sherco Racing, and that was none other than Wade Young in 2012 at 16 years old.
Wow. That they are looking for quality over quantity. So like they
I like that.
Yeah, they're looking for solid quality riders rather than having a lot of riders.
It's quite clear that Reju is fully going all out for 2026, and man, do we need it.
I think it's really cool to have like another brand and manufacturer coming in and being like, you know what, like we also want a piece of this pie. He beats the world champion.
So career defining moment, 100%. What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the World Hard Enduro Podcast, Season 2, Episode 2. Today, we're getting silly, speaking about the Hard Enduro Silly season. We begin by talking about what riders have announced their team changes, who is scheduled to move, and then our predictions. We hope you enjoy this episode. Man, oh man, do we have an episode for you Hard Enduro fans today. We are talking about silly season, specifically in Hard Enduro.
Silly season, from my understanding, is when riders are moving between one team to another or are signing their initial contracts with the team. We see it a lot in Supercross and Motocross, and obviously we see it a little bit in Hard Enduro too.
This generally happens for Hard Enduro at the end of the previous year and the beginning of the next year, more closer to the Hard Enduro World Championship, the first round at least.
Well, and this year that's happening in April. So the time frame is actually pretty big with regards to Hard Enduro. Also, you have some riders announcing closer to the championship, but you also have some riders announcing in January, for example, because they have sponsors and teams heading into their national championships.
That's right. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about who's already made the change, speak a little bit more detail about what that entails for them. Then we're going to be moving on to which riders are scheduled to move. That's going to be exciting to talk about. And then afterwards, we've got some pretty wild predictions of who and what we think is going to happen with these riders. And I suggest you stay tuned to the end to listen to that, because it's going to get quite wild.
And then at the end, obviously, we're going to end off with which riders are pretty much staying the same heading into the 26th season.
Yes.
So let's start off with who has definitely moved to a new team.
The biggest name that I can think of is Mario Roman.
Not necessarily new news. This is something that's been around for a couple weeks now, so it's not breaking news. But I think that the fact of what he is doing is noteworthy.
The point that he is a pro rider and battling for the podium inside that FIM Hard Enduro World Championship makes it a big deal. He is now moved from Factory Sherco, which he has been a part of for the past 10 years now, onto his own team, the MR74 racing team.
Now, obviously, with this new team and not being with Sherco, it opens up the door for him to take on sponsors and brands and to really curate a team and support that best supports him.
And this is where things get interesting for us, the Hard Enduro fan, because we get to peer into what a pro rider like himself, like he is, what brands he actually wants to choose to ride with.
Yeah, and there's some interesting brands and interesting partners that he's got on board now. Starting off with Plus Tires, obviously a really big brand, also focused on winning a championship. And I know that he's been working pretty closely with them, developing, I don't know if it's new tires, but just like working on the tires that they have to improve them. He's also got the Fastos will be his title sponsor, or the title of the team. And then he's changed to S2E clothing.
Yes, and S2E clothing is significant because they are a smaller gear company when it comes to the apparel. So they are quite free and lenient to create whatever designs that he comes up with in his mind. So I wonder if we'd be seeing some more crazy kit ideas, just what we see with Billy, but with Mario coming in this next season.
Yeah, that'll be pretty fun to get some exciting designs for maybe the different rounds of the championship. Who knows? We'll see what happens with that. But it's cool for that he's gone to, you know, a new clothing brand. Also, with regards to his actual motorcycle, I know that it's being sponsored by Nordica Motor, but the information around the bike isn't so heavily communicated.
All that we hear is a 300 two-stroke. For a fan of the sport, it's pretty clear that it's a Husqvarna TE 300, but the fact that they're not making that public or talking a lot about it is not necessarily new inside the industry or motorsports in general. We see it happening in MotoGP, MXGP, motocross, supercross. So I think that the discussion, it's not new. It's not a new topic that what these riders are doing, or what he is doing, with not really bringing like Husqvarna in as, you know, a brand that he's talking about.
I guess it's not really about the brand. It's just you take the bike and then you make it your own, right?
Yeah.
Then another point of his, you know, team is support. He's got Rutherford Racing, who's going to be supporting him this year in the 26th season, and they're collaborating with Two Stroke Performance also for like engine tuning and whatnot. So he's got a pretty good team. Obviously, there are other sponsors, smaller brands. There's more than what we have mentioned, but it's interesting just to see the foundation of what he's created.
A trusted mechanic with Brad Rutherford inside that hard enduro paddock. Graham Jarvis has been partnered with him for a while, as well as Wade Young for select races in the season for previous years. So yeah, good technical package there, I think, for combined with two-stroke performance. Really good to hear that Mario's got that backing.
So as we said, this information is not necessarily new, but I think what makes it noteworthy is that, as you mentioned before, this is a rider who is trying to win a championship. He's a championship contender. He has left a factory team, right? He has left the support. He's left this comfort of having a factory who does most of the things for him, where he just has to rock up and be a rider. And now he's doing it all on his own. I'm assuming he has a bit of a team to support him, but like, that's a big move for a rider, especially at this stage in the game. I would assume that this is kind of like his last ditch effort to be like, okay, something needs to change. We want to win a championship. This is how we're doing it.
You're completely right. 10 years with Sherco, not yet stood on the top of the podium inside this hard enduro world championship. And with the likes of Manny and Billy and the juniors that are coming up at the moment,
competition is fierce.
It's not going to be easy. And I feel like I agree with you 100% that this is the point of his career where it's all cards are on the table now. Yeah. There's no excuse not to come to win, to stand on that top step of the podium. So yeah, I mean, he gets to choose pretty much everything that he thinks is going to suit him and his riding style and his campaign for this 2026 FIM Hard Enduro World Championship season. I suspect we're going to see a Mario coming out swinging.
I hope so. I hope to see a fresh Mario, you know, like someone who's like, I mean, not that he's not fresh, don't get me wrong, but it's just, I think, a good time for him to be like, cool, like, let's change things up. Let's like come out swinging. So I hope it works for him. Something else to mention with regards to Mario is that when he made this announcement about his new team, he also made an announcement about how he's going to be working with CF Moto as a brand ambassador. But this is not for hard enduro. This is for ADV. So he's going to be working with them on their like ADV projects, racing international events on an ADV, and kind of just giving them feedback and technical development for these bikes. So definitely an interesting shift or a parallel journey to hard enduro.
It's funny that you say that. I think that the line is becoming more and more undefined when it comes to ADV and hard enduro. This buzzword of, you know, hard adventure, Red Bull Romaniacs introducing an adventure class into this race. It's these two communities are starting to become one in a sense. And you can see that with Mario. He's the first hard enduro rider. Okay, I lie. He's not the first hard enduro rider, but he is a significant hard enduro rider that's currently fighting for podium positions in the championship, moving and teaming and working with a ADV or a company that doesn't actually have an off-road bike.
Yes. Yeah, it's an interesting choice, right?
Yeah.
An interesting journey that he is on. And yeah, I guess just looking into the future, right? Looking at like how things may turn out. As you said, it's become quite a big thing, ADV riding and ADV in hard enduro. So I guess he's just kind of playing his cards. But that's a lot to do for a rider in the year that you become your own brand, or sorry, your own team.
I can't help think that burnout is a real problem for him at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a challenging year, I think, keeping in mind that now the championship's like 9 rounds, right? That's a lot of traveling, that's a lot of racing. He's also racing like the British Extreme Championship, at least a couple rounds, if I'm not mistaken. And he's doing events with, CF Moto, ADV. Like, there's a hell of a lot going on in one year. And in a year that, as I said, you have to do it all on your own. I don't know. How is he going to like manage to juggle all of that?
One thing that fell quite luckily in his favor is, for him specifically, is Red Bull Romaniacs not being part of the championship this year.
Right.
Because now he has the opportunity to race that CF Moto in the ADV class at Red Bull Romaniacs and not throw away points or throw away a championship contention in the Hard Enduro Championship.
That does work out pretty well, to be fair.
Yeah, so he's pleasing a lot of sponsors and a lot of people by doing what he's doing. And it's all because of this move onto his own team.
Yes. Well, as I said, I hope that it works out for him. We'll see how the next couple of months, work and go, and how his results start, stacking up when the championship actually comes around.
Another fellow countryman of Mario Roman is Francis Moret.
Yes.
He is another rider that's also assigned with a new team for 2026. He's now moved on to Factory Rieux Racing,
which is super exciting for him. I think it's like, honestly, it's about time that he got like a real solid chance at like getting to some international events and really getting some good results.
He's signed for Rieux Racing, and he will be technically supported by Rutherford Racing as well. So be in the same tent at all of these hard enduro events as Mario, or they would be basically sharing the resources with Rutherford Racing.
Cool. I think a really cool, again, like move for him. And yeah, Rieux is really taking the bull by the horns this year. It seems like they've made quite a few announcements with regards to riders who are now joining their teams, right?
Yeah, if you stay tuned to the rest of the riders that we speak about as well, it's quite clear that Rieux is fully going all out for 2026. And man, do we need it. We need it as much as possible.
I think it's really cool to have like another brand and manufacturer coming in and being like, you know what, like we also want a piece of this pie. And the fact that they are supporting up and coming riders, or at least like skilled riders, that are already there, already racing the championship. Like, that's cool. That's cool also to see them getting support. Someone picking them up to like continue their riding journey and like career.
For 2026, Francis Moret wasn't the only rider signed for that team. Who was the other rider that will be alongside him racing the Hard Enduro World Championship?
So now you've mentioned 2 European riders. We're actually looking more now at the UK riders when we talk about this new addition to the Rieux team, and that is Radford Chug.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Joining the Rieux factory team, and I'm really stoked for him. He's been putting in a lot of hard work, and he's come a long way. I mean, going from kind of supporting himself to doing the World Championship to now being on a factory team, that's awesome.
It didn't come without hard work, I can tell you that.
Absolutely. I think a lot of probably sleeping in the vans.
Yeah. He's I'm so happy for him and so happy that he's finally got this. He's pushed really hard, and honestly, it's a testament to working hard pays off at the end of the day.
Yeah.
He put in so much time, so much effort, not only in, crafting his skill as a hard enduro rider from a trials rider.
Yeah.
Also, on the social media side of things, really pushing, the kind of creator side of it, which definitely helps when, signing yourself or putting yourself out there for sponsorship.
Yeah. Brands want some kind of return on investment, right? So, being someone who can provide that on socials as well is definitely like a box that he can tick. So my understanding is that this year he's going to be racing the ACU British Extreme Championship as well as the FIM Hardinger World Championship, and then you'll also be attending other races like Romaniacs and Erzberg, for example.
A fellow countryman that we will be racing alongside him inside the British Extremes, that's also on the same manufacturer, not necessarily from the factory though, is Charlie Frost.
Yes, Charlie Frost will be racing for Regio UK, and he's also being backed or supported by Eurotech. He will also be racing, as you said, the ACU British Extreme, and I know he's got some pretty bold goals for this year. He really wants to get a top 5 in that British Championship, so he's definitely pushing hard to have like a good season.
That's a tough one. It's a tough one with the likes of Mario Roman, Francis Moret. We've got some other names that will be mentioned quite shortly inside this episode.
Honestly, that pack, the British Extreme, it's so competitive now. Like this year, you look at the riders who are there and at the top, and you're like, man, they've got proper competition. Obviously, Francis Moret coming in, riding a couple of the races, Mario coming in, it's now becoming almost international, right?
Yeah. And then you've also got this insane amount of talent from the trials aspect from the UK side, one of them actually being Jack Price.
Yes.
If you haven't seen Jack Price ride an enduro bike, it is an art form. There's something about trials bike riders that get on enduro bikes and do the trials techniques on this enduro bike that's just insane to me.
Yeah.
It's so cool to watch.
You can see that he's a different rider. You can just, you put him against someone who maybe doesn't have a trials background. For example, you put him against Wade Young. And they look like completely different riders because their technique is just so different, right? Wade doesn't come from a trials background. Jack does. So yeah, it's definitely visible in their abilities and not abilities, but just techniques, right?
It's one thing playing around in the parking lot, and it's another thing taking those skills out to a 5, 6, 7, 8 hour hard enduro track.
True.
And that's where the difference lies, and that's where Jack has to work really hard in making sure that he's got all of those skills of riding for 8 hours and basically slogging it out inside wet, slippery,
trials,
harsh conditions.
For sure, the trials riding, I don't think is a joke. Sure. You know what I mean? It's still pretty challenging, but yeah, you're right. It's different. Yeah. It's different to hard enduro and what these currently the race organizers and track, organizers are kind of setting up for these guys.
So Jack Price has moved from Sherco Racing to Gas, all under UK, the UK kind of subsidiary.
Right, and then also backed by JSM Motorsport team, right? Yeah. So that's kind of the UK side of things. Now we're going to look a little bit more local, which when we say local, we mean us, South Africa specifically. There is at least one rider who has made some kind of announcement, right? Yeah.
So Luke Walker was part of the Husqvarna South African racing team, the South African subsidiary, and he's now moved over to Sherco South Africa with Trademore.
Exciting.
Really cool for him. What a talent, and I think someone to look out for sure.
Right. I think he also mentioned that he's going to be focusing on representing them not only nationally but also internationally. Not sure what that means. Not sure if there are specific events, if it's a championship or what his plans are. But again, pretty cool to see that expansion.
He falls perfectly in line of that in that junior championship class,
right?
Only being 6 rounds as well. It will be very interesting to see him go to and give a campaign for the junior championship.
It would be really cool if he did. I don't know.
Awesome.
I don't know if he is. I don't know what his plans are.
Speculation on that.
Yeah, but it would be cool.
He brings with him on his now new ride and new sponsorship with Sherco, Leert Racing as well as Plus Tire South Africa.
Right.
And then also TBR suspension for his suspension package.
Right, so he's got a pretty solid setup for this season.
Yeah, and he's been doing a lot of work. All these riders' social media links and their YouTube channels will be in the description below. So if there's a rider that you're not familiar with and you want to find out more, feel free to go hit the link and go show some love.
Cool. And just as our community, I think this is a good time to ask, if you are enjoying this episode, make sure you share it with a mate. We are doing hard work here trying to get this research in and to present to you what's happening in the industry. And I think that it's interesting. And if you would like to share that with your friend, please do. Whether you're working in the workshop or driving to a local event or a race on the weekend, it's always good to pop on a podcast and keep up to date with what's happening. So if you're enjoying this episode, share it with a friend.
And thank you. Moving on to the next part of this episode, though, is who is scheduled to move?
Well, this is now like the exciting part of the episode, I'd say.
This is where a lot of speculation comes in, actually at the later in the prediction stages. But yeah, who's scheduled to move for definite?
Well, the first rider that is for definite going to move is James Moore. Yes.
2025 Junior Hard Enduro World Champion.
Imagine your first season, full season in the Junior Championship, and you win. You are the Junior World Champion.
It sounds like a very familiar story with Matthew Green.
Yes.
Being the first person to win this championship.
Yes. A crazy year for James. Incredible performance. I mean, just like I would, at this point, say a career-defining year for him.
And the way it ended it off, that for me is kind of the biggest positive, the biggest win out of this whole year for him.
Absolutely.
If you're not familiar, James Moore came out absolutely swinging at the final round of the championship in Lesotho, the roof of Africa. This is a world round we're talking about with pretty much all the top riders there. James wins outright.
Yep. He beats the world champion.
So career-defining moment, 100%. He will be remembering that moment for the rest of his life because it is completely defined his career.
Yes, it is. It's incredible what he has done. And now, looking into now 2026, we recently saw an announcement where he stated that he has thanked KTM South Africa and basically parting ways with KTM South Africa. So now that begs the question, what is next for James Moore? Now, obviously, we have to get into our predictions and what we assume is going to happen. But there are some other riders who we know are definitely scheduled to potentially move. I say definitely, but there's evidence that they are moving to new teams.
Usually we see a rider say thank you from one sponsor, and then pretty shortly after we see a welcome to the team.
Yes.
So it's a pretty certain that it's the case. But Thomas Scales.
Yes. Another South African junior rider did fantastically in the championship as well. I don't think got enough recognition for how well he performed in the championship. He recently also made an announcement that he is leaving his Ride Motorsport team. He thanked them for, the experience of racing with them and said that his focus is now shifting into a more international level. So again, hasn't made an announcement who or what or, kind of the forward-thinking future of that, but we know that he's now left that team.
More on that in the next section of this podcast.
Yes.
The next one is someone that's definitely a lot more familiar to us hard enduro fans, and that's Manny. So this is not a...
Disclaimer.
Yeah, this is not a team move, but I still think it's noteworthy in the sense that Manny's been riding for Fox Racing for a very long time now.
Yes, as a gear sponsor.
Yes. And he recently announced that basically, thanking them for, being part of the Fox Racing team for this long. So we haven't heard any news or anything about where he may be going or what he may be doing. What are your thoughts about that actually? Because I'm a little bit stumped.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, what does the future look like for him, at least with gear specifically, right?
Yeah.
You leave Fox. Was there anyone else racing with Fox?
In
hard enduro?
No.
So he was really the only guy with Fox. Now him and Fox have separated or parted ways.
Yes.
I mean, maybe S3? Maybe he follows in Billy and Mario's footsteps? I don't know though.
We save it for predictions.
Okay.
And
that goes into the next section.
Next section, predictions. So let's first talk about this topic of James Moore.
Wow.
I want us to speak about our wild predictions, things that we think that are like, so super crazy. What are your thoughts?
Okay. If we're thinking wild, the thing that comes to my mind is, what if he went to stock?
Whoa.
I know, right? But think about it. They are a really big team. They are pushing heavily into championships, especially like Super Enduro, for example. Why wouldn't there potentially be a stock shift? I mean, he's in a perfect place. He's a junior. He can kind of come up through the ranks with them. I mean, it's an option.
And don't ask me how I know this, but I do know that Stark is quite heavily looking for a rider to race gold class at Red Bull Romaniacs 2026.
And he is a gold class racer, right?
He is definitely one that can, out of anyone, do a good job at finishing that race. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. Obviously, they have Eddie Carlson, but he's more Super Enduro, did amazing, obviously, in the silver side.
Won the
silver
yes.
class, but yeah, they've got the package, the bike, in order for it to happen, but they just need the rider.
Right.
And,
Well, James could be a rider. I mean, obviously we don't know but I think, yeah, it's just an idea. It's just my wild prediction.
The only caveat to that is Stark would then have to collaborate with all 9 rounds of the championship to figure out the battery swap situation, because it's a different package. Like it's not just refuel and go.
Right. I don't think that would work. I mean, I think the logistics that it took to work with Romaniacs. Okay, Romaniacs is a couple days though, right?
Yes,
and that's a longer race than maybe what the other rounds are. But that is a good point. They need to have all 9 rounds on board in order to support that. And I think, yeah, maybe Stark is not the most viable option at this point. But I still think it's a wild prediction. That's what it is.
Beta is one manufacturer that I was thinking quite heavily about, but then I actually kind of got put off them a little bit. Now, let me explain. Beta has now recently, created a supercross and motocross team. They have a motocross bike that they're pushing quite heavily with Benny Blas and a whole bunch of guys on the supercross side of things. As we know, budgets are quite thin at the moment.
Yes.
They have Alfredo Gomez as their factory rider, which is a solid rider. Don't get me wrong. I think Alfredo is amazing, but he's not winning anything.
He's not a championship contender.
No.
Overall championship contender.
Yes, exactly. I think maybe 1 or 2 races he's got something to get on the podium, but he's not. Yeah, I don't see him as taking a championship. So it's kind of just the safe bet just to have a rider in the championship so they can get media, stories.
The presence of the brand.
Yeah, so I don't think Beta, just because of that reason, I think that their budget's probably spread quite thin amongst a whole bunch of different models of motorcycles and different industries.
Right. Who else is there from a wild prediction perspective then?
Triumph.
Oh, Triumph is a really solid suggestion.
Not necessarily a motorcycle manufacturer brand that's pushing heavily into hard enduro, but with them acquiring Johnny Walker,
they
put a lot of effort into that side of
research and development with him. That's for sure.
And also the championship has a 4-stroke World Cup class now.
They do.
That's also something that I was thinking could be a.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I think that would be an interesting addition as a team into the championship. I think that would be pretty cool. It would be cool to see a new team kind of come in. That would be cool. But again, I would say that this is more like wild predictions, right?
Yeah, very wild. And also this goes the same with the Japanese manufacturers, Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki. I don't think that that's where their mind is at the moment with pushing to hard enduro. They are massive companies that are they're doing so many other like motorcycles is such a small part of their business.
Yes,
they're in the motor industry and inside music and so I don't think that they're getting involved.
And KTM
Husqvarna, I think the budget is pretty thin, and also I think that they've got the best riders.
True.
So why spend more money if you've got the best?
Right.
That's kind of my idea.
I mean, you could see it from this perspective of how long are these riders going to be racing? How long are they going to be at the top? Don't you want to start investing in potentially the future of the sport?
But then why would James say goodbye to KTM South Africa? If it's kind of like that leapfrog into the factory side.
You would almost argue that KTM SA is like, it falls under KTM official. So it would just be like, oh, I'm moving from KTM SA to KTM official. He wouldn't say goodbye to KTM SA.
All right.
Right.
So let me convince you what my thoughts are at the moment.
All right.
The last South African to win the Roof of Africa got a factory deal with Sherco Racing. And that was none other than Wade Young in 2012 at 16 years old.
Wow. And this is kind of like history repeating itself.
That's what I feel. I feel like the line, like all the signs are showing this direction.
Wow.
Completely speculation from my side.
Yeah, there's no confirmation on anything at this point.
Also, Mario Roman has now left the team, so there's a space open there. There's a gap there. Him and Theodore, or Theodore would be the other rider. I'm so sure that, you know, James would just slot in there quite comfortably, probably jump onto Mario's old package, motorcycle package, and get going racing.
I mean, that actually is probably the most viable option at this point. There may be some other things that we don't know of. There may be some other ideas, but I think that makes the most sense with regards to like predictions. Again, keeping in mind that these are just predictions, nothing has been confirmed at this point.
If you want to get involved in the conversation, drop a comment below and tell us what you think may be happening or what the trajectory for James might be.
Which team you think is going to and why? Because you gotta give some good supporting evidence. Like this is, you know, give me some facts, convince me why you think he's going to a certain team.
Moving on to our next rider.
Yes.
Thomas Scales.
Yes.
So he now has spoken and said something about moving and doing, like focusing more internationally.
Yes, he has.
What is one team that has basically facilitated most of the South African efforts moving into the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship?
Rigo
Racing.
Racing.
I think because now James, let's just say that James does now move to Sherco, there's a spot available at Rigo Racing.
Oh, and he would just slot right in, right?
Yes.
It's kind of just like puzzle pieces just being shifted around a little bit.
I feel like that's probably the move for Thomas Scales. We could be wrong, but
I think it would be a good move. If that is the case, I think it would work really well for him and his trajectory, getting that support, going to more of an international team. Like, I think if that is the case, it's a really solid move.
And if that is the case, then Matthew Green would or should be his teammate. And now a little bit more about Matthew. He has announced nothing. He's currently in America doing a season campaign or beginning season campaign, off season.
Pre-season training, I guess.
Which is epic. Again, go check out his YouTube videos and his vlogs to catch up to what he's doing, because it's really cool what he's doing. But basically in preparation for the 2026 FIM Hard Enduro World Championship campaign.
Yes.
I'm not sure that he's going to be on Rigo Racing this year.
You know what? If you look at his social media, there's nothing that shouts Rigo Racing in a way. There's nothing that's like, oh yeah, he's definitely continuing with the team. So that is a bit of a question mark in my mind. It's like, he's in the US now, he's kind of doing the US thing. There's a little bit of sponsorship and support there, but mostly like kind of on his own budget. I guess it's to kind of get some riding under the belt, maybe a bit of cash from like some races, and then head into the championship. But yeah, the question is he still with Rigo, or is there something that's changed?
Yeah.
I don't really know. It's not clear at this point.
Moving on to who's actually staying in the same teams.
Right. There's most of the top riders, I would say, are kind of staying the same. I mean, you've got Billy who's staying with Husky. You've got Manny staying with KTM. Those two are definitely not changing.
Theodore Kabachiev with Sherco, he's freshly still on that team. It's only been 2 years now.
And he's doing pretty well on it.
He's doing well. He likes the bike. He likes the power package. First factory team for him as well. So, yeah, I think that he's no problem, or there's no question that he'll probably be staying there.
Yes.
Alfredo Gomez with Beta. I think the only time Alfredo moves from Beta is probably to retire. to be honest.
Yeah, maybe. And also like his, collaboration with Beta and with his AG racing team, it kind of just works.
Then it's Felix Barker, some of the juniors. So speaking about Alfredo Gomez, his AG racing team, which is specifically created for these like the juniors to support the youth, has Felix Barker in it.
Right. Also did well last year in the junior season.
Amazingly inside the junior season.
Right.
An absolute talent.
Yeah. And then also speaking about juniors, he's not necessarily moving to a new team, but he took a bit of a break and now he's back, which is Lenny Goretzky. He is going to be part of Mario's Sorrybro team for the 2026 season. And I know that they're pushing quite heavily to get some really solid junior championship points there. I think that the statement was that they are looking for quality over quantity. So like they
I like that.
Yeah, they're looking for solid quality riders rather than having a lot of riders. And I guess Mario sees something in Lenny, so he's, on the team and probably gonna be one to look out for this new 26, I think, junior season.
Yes. Man, what an exciting season.
Wow, there is a lot going on.
If there's anything that I've learned while doing the research into this episode, is that hard enduro is not dead. And it's definitely on and up.
Yeah, I think things are changing. I think there was a weird time within like the last year, but 2025 was like kind of picked up a little, and now looking into 2026, it's exciting. Like it's an exciting season to be going into, and with riders changing, juniors getting better, like it's exciting.
It's a shift. We literally are in this place and time where, the riders that we saw as juniors coming into the scene are becoming the older riders, and now the juniors are starting to make their way up and starting to fill those gaps. And yeah, if we look back at history, the young riders will always bring it to the older riders.
Yeah, true. And how crazy is it to think that the gap between what we refer to as like the old riders, which I'm not saying that they're old, but for example, let's look at like Alfredo, Mario, Billy and Manny. Like I would consider them being like the old riders now. Like they are the pros, and they are the ones who are going to start being challenged by juniors.
Difficult to say that Manny and Billy is old.
Look, I'm not saying that they're old.
Yeah, it's like a 10-year difference between Mario and Manny. So.
For sure. I'm not saying that they're old. I'm just saying that they've been at the top for a while.
Right.
And now the juniors are going to start. Like, I feel like the gap between when you're at the top and when the junior starts to, like, kind of chip at your heels, like that gap is getting smaller and smaller because now these juniors are getting better quicker, right?
It's so good to see.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's it for this episode. Little disclaimer here, we are actually going to Japan to go race the first round of the JNCC National Championship. This will be my first race since, I think, Red Bull Romaniacs 2024, so it's been a while.
Yes.
Taryn, this will be your first enduro race.
Yes, it will. I'm gonna kill it, Brandon.
I know you are.
I'm gonna kill it, but I'm also a little apprehensive and a little nervous. The nerves are starting to kick in a little bit. But you know what? Like, I'm excited. Like, this is great.
If you want to follow that, if that interests you at all, you can follow us, our personal pages. My YouTube channel is Dirt Bike Brandon. You can follow me also on Instagram, where we'll be posting basically vlog style daily recaps of what we experienced there. But
basically what we're saying is you may not have an episode for like 1 week just while we are racing. Yeah, just while we're in Japan taking a bit of a riding trip basically. But when we are back, we are back.
Getting into it. More interviews, more episodes, right at you for the world of hard enduro. Let's go.